The fall sports season of 2020 is a season of unknowns. Colleges and high schools all around the country have been deciding whether or not to have seasons, and some seasons have already been canceled. In the New York High School Section 2, conferences are deciding how, when, and if they should have seasons. Two important fall sports in the conferences are volleyball and football, which are both a part of the high-risk category, which makes it hard for conference directors and Robert Zayas to decide whether or not those sports should have seasons and how to have seasons. On Monday, August 24th, Governor Cuomo made an announcement about whether or not fall sports would be able to happen.
September, schools are back and working through that issue. Question of youth sports has come up. The state has done a lot of research on youth sports, and the guidance we've come up with is this: what's called lower risk sports, tennis, soccer, cross country, field hockey, swimming, in all regions of the state can practice and play starting September 21. So schools will be coming back. There'll be a little bit of a period to gauge what's happening, and September 21 they can start to practice and play all across the state. The quote-unquote higher risk sports where there's full physical contact, like politics, tackle football, wrestling, rugby, ice hockey, may continue to practice, but they're not authorized to play at this point.
After Governor Cuomo giving clearance for fall sports to be practiced and played, the Council of School Superintendents sent a letter to Governor Cuomo on August 26th, which said how fall sports should be pushed to January 1st because that way, schools could be focused on a successful reopening process and the health and safety of students and student athletes wouldn't be at risk. The next day, Governor Cuomo was asked about the letter and said, "I didn't see a letter, so I don't know what you're referring to," and reiterated that schools can start sports on the 21st of September, but don't have to. On July 31st, Chris Watson of the New York State High School Athletic Association released a document which said in paragraph 1, "The anticipated release date of the return to interscholastic athletics document is Friday, September 4th." And later went on to say in paragraph 2 that they were continuing to consider the high-risk sports of football and volleyball as fall sports. That means football and volleyball are still being considered if they can be played in the fall for sure, and the document giving more clarity on what will happen and what the plan is for the fall will be released on or by Friday. In the past couple of weeks, I reached out to Section 2 volleyball members Jenna Hoffman and Sam Manu from the Maple Hill Varsity Girls Volleyball team, and Coach Jenny DeBellis of Shaker Varsity Girls Volleyball to answer some of my questions about the fall sports situation.
Hi, I'm Jenna Hoffman, a senior at Maple Hill High School, who would typically be playing volleyball in the fall.
Hi, I'm Sam. I'm a junior.
Question 1. What is your overall opinion of Governor Cuomo's decision to push back fall sports until the 21st of September? Personally, the 21st of September would not have been an issue if volleyball was able to practice and compete like other fall sports. We can't even compete. Question 2. What did your team send to Section 2 and Robert Zayas about the issue of fall sports season plan? So my family sent 3 emails, 1 to Robert Zayas and 2 to Section 2. Robert Zayas did answer, and Section 2 did not. Robert said that he had volleyball on the moderate list. We asked both parties to look at the following things. Since July 6th, toss games were allowed on camps, and kids can touch balls, horseshoes, and bean bags. Volleyball and football are supposedly being frowned upon because of the shared equipment, like a ball. But again, recreational toss games were allowed at camps and for fun. What is the difference between sharing a beanbag or a horseshoe and a volleyball? We are going to be creative. If it is truly the case, we can wipe down the ball in between serves, or use gloves. Vermont and New Hampshire were creative and even moved their volleyball courts outside. Question number 3. How do you think the recruiting process would be affected if high school conferences decide to cancel their volleyball season?
With my club volleyball season cut short, I was really looking forward to my junior season and college coaches coming to watch me play.
It is not balanced and it is unfair. Having been on many college admissions tours and having phone conferences with college coaches, it puts us at a huge disadvantage, especially to other states that coaches are able to go and scout. If it was moved to the spring, college admission is too late. In the spring, I and other athletes would also have to be forced to choose between sports. That too is unfair. It is prejudicial against a volleyball player when other fall sports toss balls to serve or to take it out of bounds and toss the ball in. They have more of an advantage connecting with college coaches who are able to come to their games. Question 4. What impact do you think the cancellation of the volleyball season could have on senior players? Being a senior, again, I think this is prejudicial, cutting our chances with college coaches. Prejudicial that other seniors in other sports or other fall sports are able to have their last season, and they also use equipment like a ball. Question 5. What is your opinion on volleyball originally being on the moderate risk list along with soccer back in May, when the chances of getting COVID was higher, and then now moved to the high risk list when COVID-19 became very low and soccer wasn't moved?
Soccer players are constantly bumping into each other and making contact, yet volleyball is somehow a higher risk. Volleyball has less players and less contact.
It is unreasonable and it doesn't make sense. I would like to see some creativity being used. For example, can we play outside? Can we wipe down the ball between serves? Can we keep gym doors open? Can we play with gloves? And can we play maybe with 5 people? Question 6. What is your opinion on summer travel volleyball being able to happen, but not your fall season being able to happen for some high schools? Again, it is not comprehensible. It is so difficult to understand when there are so many loose ends. Number 1, it was on the moderate list originally. Number 2, most fall sports are allowed have shared equipment. Number 3, creativity should be used to make sure us seniors get a chance at our season with games and practices while the infection rate is at its lowest.
If we had a school volleyball season, it would be us playing with the same people we see on the daily. Some summer volleyball leagues include athletes from completely different areas and states, yet they are allowed to play.
Question 7. Do you think fall sports being canceled now in some high school conferences could play this spring?
Many players who play spring sports as well lost their previous season because of COVID. If fall seasons are pushed to spring, athletes will have to choose between them. This will cause them to lose 2 full seasons of sports when other fall season players won't have to make this difficult decision.
Yes, I would like a full season, like other fall sports teams. But the issue with playing in the spring is that we are at a loss also, because it would have to force us to choose between 2 different sports, when even some college coaches might be coming to scout for multiple sports. Please don't take my senior season away. I've worked so hard for my senior year finale. These are memories and times we will never get back. As the saying goes, there's a will, there's a way. Please find that way.
Just a couple weeks ago, we were given some information on fall sports. We were all told that, some sports would go back to a season that was somewhat normal on September 21st, and others were still sort of up in the air. So for volleyball, we were one of those sports that was still up in the air. And as a coach who also coaches a spring sport, it was somewhat expected. So in the spring, we were given, a week by week update on what would happen with our season. We had all hoped that at some point we would be able to go back and compete. But unfortunately, in the end, we were not able to compete and we never even went back to school. So being along that journey with a lot of those spring sport athletes brings me to this fall season with a different mindset. I understand that it's very important for student athletes to go back to a sport. I have a child that is also a student athlete. I know that the enjoyment that we get out of being part of a team is incredibly important. I hope that at some point we can get to a resolution of what that fall sport looks like for volleyball and football athletes. But I do understand that we are in times right now where it's very unpredictable and it's hard to say what's going to happen in the next week. It's hard to say what's going to happen when school starts. I still hold out hope that there will be some form of program for our student athletes. I know for some of our fall sport athletes, there are a lot of concerns about, not having a season and what that looks like, not having a competitive season and doing a practice only season, and what does that look like and how does that impact, seniors and potentially college recruiting. I think that there's something that I keep telling my own child is that, your competitive season, your dedication to your sport has been lifelong. So one season doesn't necessarily impact the success and the work that you've put into your sport. So as far as recruiting goes, I think that a lot of college coaches understand that. And I think that they're looking not just at this one season that you're about to get into or that you might have missed. I think that they're looking at longevity. They're looking at, how did you perform as, a ninth grade student? How did you perform as a 10th grade student? Maybe some athletes also participated in clubs that are outside of the normal high school season. So they also look at that. So I think that as a whole, they're looking at many different pieces of an athlete, which I think is incredibly beneficial. I also know that it's important that, athletes sort of look at colleges and determine where they want to go to school and then reach out to those coaches that are part of that college campus so that they do know that you're interested in playing a college sport. I think that, it kind of goes both ways. Where you're a good representation of who you are as an athlete, and to be able to express that to a college coach is very important. And losing a season doesn't make or break that opportunity for you. I do also know that it's very, heartbreaking for seniors who are missing their senior year. You've played on a sport in a program for multiple years. You've seen all the stuff that the seniors got to do. You've participated in planning those events for the seniors. You look forward to that stuff, coming up when you're a senior. Unfortunately, there's nothing we could do about that, right? We try to make it as best as we possibly can for you seniors who may be missing the senior night or, homecoming. But we're in a time where, health and safety is incredibly important, and we just have to learn how to adapt. And I think that coaches at Shaker have done a really good job with making the senior athletes feel valued, feel important, and to also make those senior nights or years meaningful for those senior athletes. So, it's a definite concern for seniors, but I think that, anybody who hasn't been through it should know that it will still be very special. It will still be meaningful. You'll still have all these great memories. It'll just look different.
Along with the volleyball players and coach, Section 2 football coaches Ian Godfrey, John Bowen, and Greg Sheeler gave their thoughts on the fall sports situation and the possible future fall football season, but a few weeks ago on Honorado and Bagnardi.
According to Max Preps, Connecticut has a start date of September 24th. New Jersey's looking at October 2nd. So maybe New York is leading the way here. Coach Godfrey, what are your thoughts here this morning on kind of what you've heard so far and maybe the possibilities of starting practice on the 21st?
Yeah. Well, I think we did the right thing up front by getting ahead of it, pushing, delaying the season until the 21st. I think that was the right move. It bought us time, like Coach Bowen had said. With the news coming out today, I'm certainly hopeful. Nothing has been removed. We haven't moved on from our season or our kids, and we're all just dying to get back out there to see them. So I think the news today is certainly a step in the right direction. I think we've got a little ways to go in terms of guidance and what that's going to take to get us back out on the field and with our kids. And Coach Bowen nailed it. It's about safety. It's about the reopening of our schools and making sure our kids and our faculty and our staff are healthy. And once we do that, I think then we can really start to look at what fall sports are going to look like.
John, what do you think in terms of day one of practice? And I'm talking padded practice here. I mean, look, maybe you can get out there and do some 7-on-7s, you know what I mean? And you're not talking about an O-line and a D-line hitting against one another. But from day one of full 11-on-11 pads, how much time would you want as a head coach?
Well, it's interesting, Chris, to see the paradigm shift here. We were talking in February about trying to figure out whether or not we wanted to play a week 0 game.
Mm-hmm.
Now with everything that happened, a little less than a month after those meetings were being had, our entire mindset is shifting to making sure now that we're not putting our kids in harm's way by returning them too quickly. Especially to a game that involves the physicality as football does. We've actually met, the athletic director role, which is part of my responsibilities here at Schuylerville. We've met as a league with some local professionals with regards to what best practices need to be followed in order to have our student athletes who we're used to. And I know Ian and I know Greg very, very well, known for a lot of years. We all walk on the field on what would have been this year, August 24th. And we walk on the field and our kids physically are where they need to be. Our focus more than anything is sharpening them mentally with regards to the X's and O's and the execution to be prepared to play in a couple of weeks. And we're not going to be there. It's going to be a complete flip for us from what we thought we were going to be getting ready for to where we actually are going to be if the 21st does end up coming to pass.
Guys, what is the best case scenario? If you could have your dream scenario here, we know, okay, when now you can start to practice. What is your best case scenario in terms of getting on the field, how many games you can play, and how this season will ultimately come to a conclusion? Coach Sheeler, what do you think about that one?
It's a great question. I think we just mentioned it. I mean, my best case scenario is we get a chance. That's all I'm looking for is give us an opportunity to get with our kids, give us a chance to follow the guidelines that is set. I think that I can speak for all the coaches in our area and probably throughout the state that we will follow the rules. We will hold our kids accountable because that's what we do. That's our nature. And for me to be out there on the field with our kids this fall, to have a short, maybe a shortened regular season, maybe playoffs, maybe not, but any football this fall for me would be best case scenario.
Along with the football and volleyball players and coaches being affected by the current fall sports situation, parents and students who participate in athletics are affected. I spoke to a marching and pep band member, Angelina Schaefer, and my father, Edward Hamilton, in the last couple of weeks about their thoughts and opinions about the fall sports situation. I have Angelina Schaefer here with me. She is a part of the pep band and marching band for Shaker, and they're very active during the fall with football and with other events. And so, Ange, what is your overall opinion on Governor Cuomo's decision to push back fall sports until the 21st and possibly cancel some fall sports?
I mean, obviously I don't like it because I like watching the sports and all that, but if it's what's needed to be done, then it's better that we at least have some sports that are possibly being played.
Being a part of the marching band and pep band, which perform before and during football games, do you think football without people other than the team and media allowed, or the season being canceled, will have a big effect on the students who are involved in groups which participate game days?
Yeah, because I think not only the players look forward to the games, but the pep band, all the kids in the band, and all the people who get to watch the games, they all look really forward to that Friday night game and seeing all your friends and going out and having a fun time. So I think a lot of people will be missing out on that.
Since you played basketball, do you think decisions on sports being made for the fall will impact or could impact the decisions being made for winter sports?
Yes, because if the fall sports, the low impact ones, I think anyways, if they go well, then they could try to increase the sports, but if there tends to be increases in cases or rules being broken, then I think that they might even cancel winter sports altogether.
What is your overall opinion on the fall sports situation?
It's kind of like the same as school. I think you guys should go back, and I think you guys should play. Obviously, if somebody's sick or test positive, they should stay home, just like if they had the flu or something, that measles or mumps or anything else. But I don't think it's doing anybody any good by trying to keep everybody hidden away and keeping the students from participating in activities. You got a lot of these kids, this is for seniors, that's going to be their last shot at trying to get things. I mean, the last year's senior class already missed out on enough. I don't think you want to see another group go through and miss out on everything as well.
Although coaches, players, and those involved in Section 2 volleyball and football don't know what to expect for this year, we can all hope for the best and for some form of a season. If the seasons do happen, it will be an interesting and memorable experience for everyone involved, but if they are canceled, we can all look back at the valuable memories these sports have given us and hope for the best in the future. This is a season of unknowns, but what we do know is we should all have faith in having a season.